All right, Black Box Radio. We are live. It is a cool night in Baltimore. Let me tell y'all something. It is a pleasure to talk to the people. And it's really cool in Baltimore, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful winter evening in Baltimore City. It is Black History Eve. That's what they say this thing is. So Black History Month, our history starts tomorrow, guys. So Black History Month is next month, well, tomorrow. 29 days of that. I'm not going to say that Black History Month encompasses the greatness of the American African, but that's what it is. And so I'm Queen. I'm a host at Black Box Radio. We are a media platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform everyday Black people doing extraordinary things. That is our intentional goal. We are nestled in Baltimore City proper. We are a community-centered platform, a Black community-centered platform. And I just want you guys to please subscribe to our social media. Please subscribe to our YouTube. And listen, I want to have let's have a little talk. Now, these social media platforms, we think we're seeing each other. We're really not. That's controlled information. Let's be clear. And I've been Facebook has written me. They might get rid of my pages. So that might be something in the near future because they say I violate community standards. Or sometimes hate speech, because when you love yourself, other people get offended. So please subscribe to our YouTube. YouTube is very much a more freer platform. Please subscribe to our channel. Check us out on YouTube. We're going to be live on YouTube regardless of what. Come to YouTube and check out Black Box Radio. We are growing this year. This is our 5th year. In September, we're going to blow out Baltimore. We're going to have a fundraiser for the Squeegee Project, our social enterprise, and for Black Box Radio. And we're going to open up our studios so everyone can see, everyone can come through, check out the studios. So put that on your calendar, 9/15/24. Okay? So again, subscribe to the YouTube. Hit us up at blackboxradio@gmail.com if you want to talk to us. You got a show idea, or you just want to tell us a little something. Talk to us. But anyway, I just wanted to have that little talk with you guys. YouTube is the best way to get to see our content and to actually interact with the platform. But tonight is a special night because we're going to talk about a conversation that needs to be talked about. I've heard it throughout my life. And we got a young man here with us, Brother John, who is orchestrating a movement with a short film, and it's called Pay Up, Get Out the Way. It is a illustration about reparations. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. It's a conversation that we need to talk about, and all your questions, we're going to try to answer them. So we're going to have this amazing interaction about reparations for the African-American community. So Brother John, say hi to everyone.
Peace. How's everyone?
It's good to have you.
Glad to be here. Good to see you, Queen.
Absolutely. And you're a friend of Black Box Radio. You're a friend of me. So this is going to be like two friends sitting on the couch.
Oh, as always.
As always. So reparations, talk to the people. Kind of tell us, like, how'd you get here? Like, what made you say, listen, I'm going to do this?
So it was about 6 of us who came together. And originally we were looking to apply for some grants around reparative work. And then we just were like, you know what? These grants don't mention anything about reparations or anything. Why don't we just ask for it? So we ended up submitting a few different grants and getting turned down. And then we ended up finding a foundation that was interested in funding things around reparations, and we applied for it. And after being turned down 3 times, sometimes your optimism kind of neutralizes, right?
Absolutely.
And so we got approved, right? And it was to Originally, it was to begin to do some reparative organizing in the community. So I returned back to some of the neighborhoods that I originally organized in, which was McCullough Homes, Gilmore Homes, and
Mm,
Perkins Homes has been
tomorrow.
demolition, right?
Mm,
So I got on the ground and I started to talk to people about reparations and what their thoughts were around reparations. And I heard too many disheartening responses
hmm.
about us not needing reparations,
Can I
or
hear a few of those? What would you mean by disheartening?
it was disheartening in a way that where people were like, it's one argument when people say like, I don't think we'll get it.
Yeah,
I can actually potentially accept that more than we're not deserving of it. It's not due, right?
right.
And after hearing that so much for different reasons, I said, you know what? There needs to be a tool to actually help to bring more information as to what reparations is, what it could be, and help to create discussion in our communities. And so I never done a documentary before. I've taken a class to do a documentary, and that's it. And the people, like, there was a woman named Linda Keeley from Raw Trust, William Freeman from Raw Trust, which is a foundation. They co-produced the film. And then there's B Fly, Danae from Blackwater House
Hmm.
Productions. And we ended up getting with B Fly, and it was it was it was a brilliant process to be working with her. And so, we interviewed a lot of people from Baltimore City, a lot of the people that I may have organized with or recruited to kind of be part of some efforts at one point in time. We interviewed maybe about, I don't know, 15 people, 16 people, and it came out, and people have just been responding very well to it. It's
Hmm.
been creating very, what I would say, are unifying conversations amongst people in the room who
Yeah.
aren't familiar with each other at times. It's also created a dialogue of disagreement at times, but we all end up leaving. We've done maybe 4 screenings, and we all end up leaving with a feeling of togetherness and unity. And yeah, that's where we are.
That's what's up. So when's the next screening? Let's talk about that. When's the next one?
Next screening is tomorrow uh,
Tomorrow.
at the Cherry Hill Marketplace, 628 Cherry Hill Road. And if at all possible, if you can, if you want to attend, not saying that you have to do this to attend, but we want to make sure we have enough chairs. So there's an Eventbrite link that
Mhm.
you could go to at baltimorereparations.org, or you can look me up on Facebook, find it on my page, and there's the Eventbrite link on that as well.
So you said Baltimore because I'm writing it in the chat. Baltimore Recreation
baltimorereparations.org.
Reparations.org. Okay. And they can go there and get the event
Yeah,
right to register.
yeah. And you
Okay.
don't have to do that. You can show up. I don't want that to stop you, but we just want to make sure we got enough chairs for you.
That'll work. That'll work. So John, brother John, let's do this. Let's share at least the trailer so
Sure,
folks can get a little, you know, just a little bit of what you're doing. Okay. So let's
sure.
do that. Okay. All right, guys. So we're gonna share the trailer of Pay Up, Get Out the Way. All right. So let's do that. All right. Do you see the you see it, brother John?
Yes.
Okay.
this country owes Black folk.
The trauma, the violence, you see, the lack of education, all of that is a result of not having access and resources because our generational wealth has been stolen from us. And this is what reparations come in at. It has to be returned.
My great-grandfather, who was a slave here in Maryland, actually produced wealth here, not for his family, but for others.
It is a continuum of harm. It started 400 years ago and it's never stopped.
The bigger problem here in Baltimore is a disinvestment in certain areas, which is the continuation of redlining.
Banks literally put a red line around and said, do not make loans to anybody in those areas.
Literally, you're taking real estate and financial institutions and deliberately disenfranchising people for your benefit.
Not just preventing Black people from accumulating wealth, but actually destruction of Black communities.
Resources were not allocated to my community for grocery stores to be there.
We're not able to live full lives.
Who live like this? Animals live like this.
When you begin to accept that this is normal for us, alienation sets in.
And yet, the police officers, time and time again, were dehumanizing this population.
They place drugs on us. They beat us. They violate our human rights.
The number of Black men that are in jail and the way we see our communities spiraling downward, those things are related.
The harm that prison causes and these laws that have been based on the institution of slavery, on disparity, it harms us.
64 Civil Rights Bill was not to repair us. 65 Voting Rights Bill was not to repair us. 68 Fair Housing Bill was not to repair us.
The United States has made reparations for Native Americans. The United States have made reparations for Japanese that were in internment camps. The United States has not made any reparations for the Black community.
And pay up, get out the way.
So powerful. So powerful. There's some heavy hitters in there too.
Well, I tend to believe that, the Black experience amongst most of us, are heavy hitters, right? But definitely some some high reputations of people in there and some experts on reparations,
Yep. Yeah. And you have some elders in there and they've been through it. They've seen it. And that's what we need. Sometimes we talk from our perspective, but we need some wisdom in this conversation because we're a little spoiled right now. We think we're free. We think we're accessing the American dream out here. You know what I'm saying, Brother John? I hear it all the time. Is we good? Or are we? Are we good? That's the real question.
That's the real question.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like certain circles that are not just Black are saying the word reparations. And to me, it's important that we have discussions in our communities, on the block, at the dinner table, in the schools, wherever we are, to discuss why reparations are due and what reparations could look like for us. And if we don't define it for ourselves, then, the white folks in power will. And I also think that we have to be careful of what we call reparations, right? And so in my mind, and everyone doesn't necessarily have to agree with it, but in my mind, let's just say reparations is a mansion with many rooms of systems or oppressive systems. And until we cover every room in that mansion, criminal justice, environmentalism, land, resources, redlining, we really have to think about all of the ways that we've been set up. And until all of those are addressed, not just from a financial standpoint, but a programmatic standpoint. I'm not sure that we can just say it's reparations. I think we can be specific about what room reparations it is, right?
Right.
But, until then, I just think we have to choose our language very carefully, and some of us need to define what that is and what that looks like for us around what reparations is. And we should own that word. That word, we should feel ownership over that word. Reparations. In the same way we've embraced other words that may not be empowering at times. We need to embrace reparations as that's ours.
That is ours. We got to understand that the key word for reparations is repair.
Indeed.
And the Black community, I call us the American African. We need repair.
Indeed.
And it's very important. And I think a lot of times, I heard an old saying: if you don't speak up, they'll kill you, and said you wanted to be dead.
Say, yep. Yeah.
So you got to be very careful about not owning what happened to you and what will repair you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we are ashamed of our history. We're ashamed of what's happened. It happened. But the question is, how do we go forward from here? And I think that is one of our issues. If we have not even kind of reconciled,
right?
What happened to us, our ancestors, we try to go and move on.
Right.
And that's taught to us. That's learned behavior. Is the folks who are teaching us are the perpetrators.
Yeah. I also think it's because of the current pressures that people face to where for some of us, we feel like we don't have room to pay attention to the past and learn because the current time is heavy enough. Right. But, that's also what reparations is. It begins with slavery.
That's why the current times is so heavy.
Yeah. Up until now. Right. Like we're still living in the bias system. Like, there's a lawsuit against Baltimore City Public Schools. Right. And it should be, right, because of the way that our kids, our families, our communities have been treated and set up to fail.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. I said absolutely. I'm agreeing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
I think every school system almost just the curriculum is a lie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just the whole public school system was created in 1940, in the 40s, and they've never changed it. How can everything else move and get innovated? But we don't innovate education.
That's right.
You understand? So I think this suit should be the public school system across the board,
right?
Because they're not telling the truth. We know that, right. And there's no innovation in the curriculum.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Across
and don't get me wrong, because I've worked within, and I know you know this, but I've worked within schools with some of the best teachers and principals that stood by those kids, giving them what they needed. But other systems like housing impacts a child's ability to learn. A lack of housing, or a lack of family structure, the war on drugs, which, brought drugs into our community and then targeted us for being addicted to it and trying to make money off of it, right? So, these are the traps. These are, the things that we've been up against, and no one, I believe, anymore should be fearful of saying the word reparations in front of anyone anymore. It's a legal argument. People think that it's us coming from some of us think that it's us begging. Other folks think it's us begging. It's not. History and at different times have shown that reparations have been made for other groups. That was mentioned in the trailer. There was reparations that was made for slave owners when slavery was abolished, right? So
yes,
this is not Black people begging. This is, as far as I'm concerned, Black people standing up for what we deserve, on top of the free labor that our ancestors did in building this country. On top of some of the labor, like, and now I'm talking about another state, but I think in Louisiana, in Angola prison, there was a private funneling of money from the work that prisoners were doing, and it was going to companies like McDonald's, and it's in the news, right? So, like, you know, that's slavery, right? Like, that's exactly what slavery was, right? And it's still happening. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, healing a city and healing a community. But there's always, at the end of the day, a lack of resources. And it's time for us to get past some of these smaller conversations, some of the small conversations with the foundations and the grants. And it's time to get pretty serious about repairing ourselves. And part of that is reparations.
It is reparations. So when folks, because I totally believe in reparations. I think we need it. I think we deserve it. I think it's ours. So it's almost like collecting what's yours.
Sure.
But more than anything, I hear a lot of people say, then what does that look like? Because if you give these people money, they're going to go spend it. They're going to throw it back in the system. Because, you know, we look for ways to what the victim is going to do.
Yeah.
So what does reparations to you look like, per se?
So, and I can't fully answer that question because I realize myself that there's more conversations that need to be had, right? And that's part of the reason why, like, these screenings and the discussions that follow are so important, because everyone has, it's almost like organizing a screening and then a think tank afterwards, right?
Right.
And so and let me say this, tomorrow I've invited an economist, a Black economist, to come and actually speak more about, like, how those numbers and how to tally numbers and how to come up with numbers. And so ultimately there is a check, a very large check that we probably can't even count to. You know, I've heard numbers of, like, if we're talking across the country, I've heard $1 trillion, I think $7 trillion from a sister. But outside of the money, it's things like, you know, talking about not being taxed as American citizens. It's free education. It's land, return of land. Like, I can say that again, and a return of land, right? Like, so that we can be self-sustainable, grow our food, live off the land, build businesses. You know, I was watching a program, and there was a brother who was speaking about how port cities became rich off of slavery, of course, because that's where we came into.
Of course.
And, you know, there needs to be the potential of Black businesses getting a certain percentage of the contracts of the work at ports in port cities.
Love that.
So that was nothing I came up with. That's why we got to listen to each other, right? Like, that's why we have to talk and have the conversations.
Yes.
Because that was a brilliant idea, right? Like, it was an idea that I hadn't thought about. Like, so, like, that's the importance of coming together, having these conversations and figuring out what that looks like. We're close to DC. There's a HR 40. There's a reparations bill in Congress. In the state of Maryland, there's 2 reparations bills that are going to come down from the Black Caucus, right? Like, it's being talked about. The question is, are we talking about it enough? And are we up on what's happening so that we can support when needed and disprove of other, situations when needed, right? Like,
Right.
and I just feel like from the feelings that and the conversations that have come from these screenings and these rooms, like before we so let's say we fight and receive reparations in a way that is pleasing to most of us. Before that fight and receiving of reparations, there had to be unity. So on the way to reparations, there has to be unity.
Has to be unity.
And in order for us to get there, there has to be unity, which means that unity can come. And while we're fighting for reparations, we still could be putting models of self-sustainability in place for our communities because we have a form of unity. Now, I've worked and organized in different capacities. I've worked mostly community organizing, but like in the areas of criminal justice, in the areas of housing, in the areas of education. And many times, like, the focus of one issue silos people, right? It may not be on purpose, but it doesn't include.
It brings separation.
It brings separation. The discussion around reparations is bringing some type of unified thought, right? Our political platforms should be reparations. Like,
all day?
Yeah.
If we don't have funding, that's what all the funding is. I see us fighting for all of these small bits, but the bigger bit is reparations for everything. If our schools will change, our neighborhoods will change, our communities will change. We will have greater power in our communities. All of these little things we're fighting for, I think reparations is the big language. It's the language that encompasses the fight, in other words.
Indeed, it does.
I just really think that. Let's jump in the chat for a little because we got some people here talking to us. We got Brother Corey Witherspoon. He said he's going to be there tomorrow. He said, shout out to you. Big up. John is gone, guys. Oh, wow. So he'll be back. I'm sure of that. Sister Monica, you say you want some land. I get it. I want some too, sis. We got to get some land. Land is everything. I tell a lot of us are looking, I want to buy a house. Yes, it's beautiful, but we got to look at land. We have to be able to expand. We have to be able to grow some food, and we need to put our feet in the dirt. It's therapeutic. So Brother Jason, you're always on point, brother. I love you, always on point. John, you left us for a minute, but you back. It's all good.
I heard Corey Witherspoon. Shout out to Spoon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a teacher, right?
He's one of the top mentors in the city.
I know he's a mentor. I know that. Okay. Good.
Brilliant, strong brother.
Corey. You got to come sit down with me, Spoon. You definitely got to come and talk to me. But I know he's mentoring the city, so shout out to your work. Sister Monica says she wants some land, which is a beautiful thing. And then we got Brother Jason. He says, speak on the ports, with Baltimore specifically, calculating the economic impact of the slave farms on the eastern shore of Maryland. That's really saying something. And Baltimore's economy. So a lot of Baltimore, because I go to Charleston, South Carolina. So I want us to know that the three major ports in America right now is New York, 1, Charleston, 2, and old small Baltimore is the number 3 port of goods coming into this country. So imagine with those goods, what happened to what were the first goods? That was our ancestors. Right. And so these same shipping lanes that we see food and our technology coming through, we innovated those also. Just the shipping lanes that they're using is the same lanes that they use to transport our people. And when I'm in Charleston, it's so amazing. From the port of Charleston to Senegal, there's no encumbrance. If I could swim from Charleston to Africa, I would get straight to Senegal, straight shot.
Wow.
No land in between. So when I'm looking over that water, the ancestors are talking to me.
Yeah.
For real. But you know what they did on the port? It's restaurants, it's fun, everything's beautiful. but that's where our people came in. And so we have to look at these ports and understand that Baltimore has a unique opportunity. Now it's a tech hub, but all of these things were made possible from, first of all, from slavery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and it's our responsibility to keep the conversation alive, right?
it is.
And no one's going to do it for us. Like, no one's going to do it for us. And as I said, it's important for people to learn as much as possible about it, because this is not an emotional argument.
It isn't.
You know, the people who act as our enemies may see it as an emotional argument. Some of us who have see ourselves as surviving the toughest moments in our life may see it as an emotional argument because of what they've been able to survive. But we are in a country where the government has been a business. Our great grandfathers, grandmothers built this country. Like, when we say that, I think that we've been saying it for so long that for some folks, it has lost power. But literally, like, Queen, as you talked about, like, when you look at the water and the port, that you can, like, feel our ancestors, we should be able to walk this country and feel the same. Because of, especially when, you know, we go to places, anytime you go to a lot of state legislatures from Maryland on down, the cobblestone streets of Fells Point, things of that nature.
All us.
Our hands and feet were on that, you know.
Absolutely. And we tend to not understand that. Even when Charleston, if you look at the markers on the top of the building, the metal on the windows, if you go into the actual slave market, you see the imprints of their fingers in the brick. They left their this is what we don't understand. And I want you guys to feel like it. You can see the brick and see the fingerprints of our great grandfather and great grandmother, and the folks are going through there, they're buying and merchandising and eating their ice cream. But what really happened there was insidious, malicious. And now we're making it now shopping areas. We're merchandising these areas where Black people, African people have suffered. And I think sometimes we forget of the greatness of our people because we're very comfortable in this country right now, and we shouldn't be. We should not be comfortable. What Mama Gail says, and shout out to Mama Gail, she says affordable housing for seniors, low income. That is true, but that's the whole argument is we have to take care of our seniors, and we live in a country where we put our seniors away. I want you guys to know we're the only country that does that. Put our seniors in homes and put them away from the children and get them out the way. So we need to look in every aspect of our community will come from reparations. I really don't think, Brother John, money is enough.
No, it's not.
People say, oh, I want that cash. I want that chicken. But listen, we need structural. We need institutions. We have to. A community has to have a bank. It has to have school, understand its education. It has to have outlets. We need more than just money. And we also we have trauma, mental health movement. We need to have a mental health movement in our community. We have not addressed the trauma, the generational trauma, the amount of trauma that we're all packing and we're living through this. And and that trauma has made us, we're addicted to everything from food to drugs.
So I feel like if we've been paying attention to the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, for one, right now we're going through, what's the word I'm looking for when the dollar raises or lowers in value.
For guys, not depreciation, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. Like where things are becoming more expensive and your dollar has been going as far as inflation, right? But also, when it comes to money, you know, if you looked at Bitcoin and all of that other trading stuff, it shows you that the dollar can potentially be defeated. And, you know,
I
it's
think it's
what
being defeated. It's
is
having a problem right now.
yeah,
Yes.
is what people put value in. So if everyone decided, or a good amount of people decided to put money into Bitcoin,
Yeah.
that potentially now becomes the value or the coin that you trade off of. So that's just me thinking about the argument of you saying that money isn't enough. And so that's one of my reasons why money isn't enough. You know, at one point a time in this country, I think black farmers were at 25% out of all the farmers in the
Not no
country. I
more.
think we were at 25%. I think now we're around 6%,
Yes.
4%.
It has reduced dramatically. We don't even control food anymore. We don't
Right.
control anything in food anymore.
No food, no land. And the land that was actually given to any of, or the land that was able to be acquired by a lot of the black farmers was actually the land that white farmers didn't want. It was what they call the wetlands
The
or the
wetland,
badlands
the
where,
marsh.
yeah, where
Yes,
it will flood.
exactly. Now
And
they
you know,
want that land.
and they
Building
came back and
houses,
took it.
came back and took the same land that they gave us
Yeah,
because now it's valuable.
yeah,
These are the type of people we live around, and we have to understand that food is so important. It triggers behavior, it triggers everything, health. We have to control our food, and we see Bill Gates on most of the farmland in this country.
yeah,
He owns the biggest seed bank. When someone controls your seeds, they
yeah,
control your food.
yeah.
And we understand that he does not give a damn about people. He cares about money. And
Right.
so we have to be very clear about our movements. We're talking and we being Gucci out here. We out here flossing and being fresh and
Mm-hmm.
eating trash.
Mm-hmm.
So and not learning. We have, even people say, well, I don't have no land. Urban farming is a thing, boo.
Mm-hmm.
You can grow something in a pot. You got a
Mm-hmm.
big old roof.
Mm-hmm.
We have, if our ancestors were able to endure slavery, we can do anything.
Indeed.
Indeed, and we gotta think like that. I mean,
Yep.
I think our thinking is very centered on how we look and how we present ourselves, because that's what hurt people do.
Mm-hmm.
They want to look good, but we got to pull this back and look at how do we repair ourselves. But it starts too in our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We need a reparative mindset to go forward, and then we put these pillars in place of how do we repair our community. So let's jump in the chat a little bit again. We got what's up, brother Juan Juice, peace and power. Jason said something that I want to throw at you. He said we have to think about capital without capitalism. Bitcoin has been connected to capitalism, so we have to look beyond that long term. Great comment. I mean, he's a tech guy. And I understand that comment, because the thing what they do is they create not a dollar, so now they're looking at cryptocurrency. You look at Bitcoin because the dollar is fledging.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have companies like Russia, China, and all of these other companies coming together, and they have enough manufacturing income. I mean, the economies are so strong that they're going to give a dollar a run for their money.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is capitalism produces something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our biggest economy is us.
Mm-hmm.
And our ability to provide culture. We're the standard in everything that we get into. And I think that if we develop us, we are actually, to me, we are the capital.
So indeed.
And that's how all this all started. Is the capital was black bodies. And so then we can then create an economy and an industry from ourselves. What do you think about that?
Of course. I mean, I think that, you know, we have all the potential to do a lot of that now. You know, and, you know, our buying power, I can't remember what country they said we would have the GDP.
Yes.
But
the
like,
black community, just the black community alone, not
black
knowing
community.
it's unbelievable. Yes.
Billions of dollars, right? Like, so I think the way we get there, though, I think we're at a point in our community where everything needs an organizer along the side of it. So
Wow.
like, so business and a group of businesses needs an organizer in the community to also like address some of the thought process of why it's important to support these business these businesses in your neighborhood over here. And those businesses have to have an agreement to support the community, um, to create that circular motion of dollars, right?
Right.
So instead of going to the carry out right here where, you know, those folks don't live in the neighborhood, they
Yes.
live somewhere else. They came from another country and they came with the sole purpose of making money off of you. Uh, you now instead go to, uh, you know, the business next door that's black owned that sells the food or whatever. And that business, along with other businesses, have agreed that a certain percentage of the income goes back to a community street fair that happens once a year,
Yep.
maybe some, you know, scholarships in the community or whatever that community comes up with on how to use the money. So ultimately, the community organizer is there to break through uh, those of us that have been brainwashed.
It's no good word for brainwash, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's almost like we got to lobby our own people, you
you
know.
do.
Yeah, because acculturation is real, and we don't realize that our mindset is so it's so I would say fractured
Yeah,
from each other. And when you talk about working together, we don't even believe in that.
yeah,
We're like, okay,
yeah,
whatever. That's what you're talking about, but it's not happening. But this cynicalism is being so cynical is a part of living here. That we don't trust each other.
yeah.
That's a part of the whole joint has done this to you. That's all learned behavior, and we got to look at all of that. So let's jump in the chat. Oh, the chat's on fire right now, brother John. This reparation talk is that people talking over here. So we got Christopher Irvin, brother Chris. Big up to you. Capitalism assigned value to a valueless product. We lived in exchange by bartering. Fair exchange ain't no robbery. I like that. We got to barter. I love bartering, but the problem with our bartering system is we don't have enough businesses. We don't have enough resources. So we're busy keeping all our resources to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? In a lot of ways, it's like this mine, that's yours.
So,
It's hard to barter.
and shout out to the brother Chris Irvin.
Yeah, shout out to Chris.
So I do believe that. So like from the standpoint of where we are right now in organizing, the economy that other communities operate in are past ours. Our communities have been impoverished for a long time to where bartering is necessary and can create, can help to level the playing field, help to do away with some of the crime that is happening within our community, but also like bartering causes unity in real relationships. And that's something that we definitely could work off of.
Good comment, brother Chris. All right, and Mama Gail, she said working together is key. This talk is great. I love that. She said stop stepping on each other's toes. That's true. We gotta give everybody toes some room. We all can sit at the table. You know, this infighting and this thing we're doing is because we're all hungry and we live in a country that pits us against each other.
Yeah.
And we definitely got to learn how to love first, and then we got to get agenda too. A normalized agenda for everyone is something we need. But brother Jason, he says something. He says, can brother John talk about anything specifically he wants for us to do to spread the word about the documentary? And are the things specifically he is using as talking points to raise consciousness about the push for reparations?
So I appreciate those questions. And yes, like, so the link to the trailer, please share that. Share the link to the Sister Queen. I don't know if you shared the link to the trailer on your page.
Yeah, I did, and I think I'm gonna try to share it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So share that link. Tell people that screenings are happening and they should attend. That, you know, there's no charge. It's free. Screenings and discussions are happening. And like, that's one of the biggest things that we could do right now with other communities and some of our community talking about reparations. What was the second question?
He said, are these things specifically he's using as talking points to raise consciousness about the push for reparations? Are you using that as talking points? And I guess when and afterwards, when you guys actually talk, you know what I'm saying?
When the guys, I'm not understanding.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, when you have your talk afterwards,
yeah.
Are these things specifically, is he using as talking points to raise consciousness about the push for reparations?
Yeah, I say a lot of this. I don't have them lined up as talking points. I come from, you know, my personal perspective, but like my biggest thing is to allow the people in the audience that came to see the screenings talk. So what we end up having is a real community discussion. And so originally I was planning these screenings and, you know, asking some folks that would be considered thought leaders to be panelists. And then I kind of looked and I was like, you know, holding panels is like white supremacist type of stuff, right? Like where that's kind of what I felt. So ultimately we sit in circles, and semicircles, and I still have the thought leaders there helping to push the conversation from their perspective, but everyone is there to be a part of the conversation. So like, and I facilitate very lovingly and lightly, just to kind of keep the conversation moving. And also sometimes we gotta get out there on time. But I will say this, the discussions have been so high quality that no one ever leaves and wants to leave on time. It just is something that's happening, and people are connecting in ways that I'm not saying they wouldn't have connected, but people are connecting there. And so in the process, you know, I'm getting folks emails to where, like, if there's anything moving forward, we update folks on that. But ultimately, I'm really just my whole purpose is to drive discussion right now in the Black community.
In the Black community. And guys, I put the link for the trailer in the chat, so you can access that later. Please look at the trailer. But tomorrow, what's going on tomorrow, Brother John? Tell the people.
Cherry Hill, there's a screening. It starts at 5. Doors open at 5. The film starts at 5:30. It's only about 32 minutes long, so try not to be too late. It's 32 powerful minutes. I will say that every time I see it, tears fall by the end. And immediately people are ready to discuss. Like I open up with, what do you think about the film? Like, what are your thoughts? And then we go into a little bit more of a pointed conversation on the work, what reparations looks like, things of that nature. And, every time we've used, if we've had a space for 3 hours, we used all the 3 hours plus more.
Go home early.
Yeah, like, so tomorrow, and we're doing this at the same time, like if you notice, it's all Black institutions or Black businesses that we're, doing the screenings at. In the process, like at Cherry Hill Marketplace tomorrow, there'll be Rich Juice. The Rich Juice Bar is providing some of the refreshments for everyone there, which is another Black business. Michael Battle, shout out to him. And we will have Brother Eric Jackson as one of the thought leaders. As I said, it's a Black economist coming down from DC. And I think think that's it.
Yeah, I
Mr.
put
Morton, Mr. Tyrone Morton. I believe he will be there.
He'll be there tomorrow too.
Yeah, like helping to lead the discussion. But like I said, the discussion is a real discussion. It's back and forth. It's not anybody just talking to you and not engaging. So we welcome everyone.
And I just put on as you see on the screen, I put there's been some screenings, but tomorrow, February 1st at Cherry Hill Marketplace, 5 to 8. Then you have February 8th, February 17th, February 21st, and February 27th. I'm going to keep this posted on the page in my story. We need to support this type of conversation. And this is a way for us to connect with each other too. A lot of times is we don't get enough chances to communicate and bring synergy to our community. And this is a discussion that I think that we all should be a part of. So come out tomorrow. I'm gonna be in the house for sure. I'm gonna come through and I need to see this and interact with the people. But tomorrow, what's the address again, brother John?
628 Cherry Hill Road. It's at the Cherry Hill Shopping Center, right off of Cherry Hill Road. So you know where.
It's the only marketplace up there.
The only marketplace. It's
the only one. It's the central part of Cherry Hill. So
yeah.
And let me tell you something about Cherry Hill. This is a place that has not had a grocery store in 25 years.
Right.
So we're talking about a place where they built the biggest projects in the U.S. Sits in Cherry Hill, Maryland. And there is no fresh food. There's no store. That's a problem.
It wasn't the biggest projects in the U.S., but it's one of the biggest on the East Coast now. Like it was some pretty big projects that was built
when they first built it, but maybe not now.
You know, Queensbridge. You got Queensbridge.
Yeah, that's a big dog right there.
And you had Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes in Chicago. Those
Chicago, right?
Yeah. So, but it's one of the largest.
It's something bigger than this. That's what's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, it's like
but to not have fresh food or a grocery store there for 25 years is a problem.
Yeah.
So that's a food desert. That's another form of discrimination or something very intentional. And so we got Rich Food, that's Rich Juice Bar that's up there. So you guys need to go and go to that Black business. It's right next door to the marketplace.
It's operated by the youth from that community.
I gotta go up there. I ride my bike up there and get me something. Y'all gotta go and get you some juice. Get you a acai bowl.
Get you something healthy. That's right.
It's fire.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I just want to know how many other Black folks was pronouncing acai wrong, because I was going in there like, let me get a acai bowl.
Yeah, we don't know, but yeah, it's acai, guys.
Yeah, they were like, what? The acai bowl. Like, yeah.
That thing is good though. It's really good. So check that out. Get you a acai bowl. That thing is filling. It has every fruit in there. And brother Juan Juice, that's he set that juice bar up. Yeah. So definitely go in there and check that spot out. And that's a Black business with Black youth. And we talk about our youth is in the street. Our youth is running the bar. What we doing? Y'all at Starbucks, Tropical Cafe, go to Rich Juice Bar, please. So back to the conversation. So that's reparations, is us moving in our own community.
Indeed.
If we want to be repaired, we got to repair our movements and repair our mindset. And so we got to look at our own businesses, our own things. And I think we don't do that enough. What you think, Brother John?
No, we don't do it enough. But like, I think, so I can't remember if somebody had a challenge, but like ultimately, for people that want to take a lady out on a date, or vice versa, because women taking men out these days.
No, it's liberation out here.
Like, challenge yourself to do nothing but Black businesses on that date. You can go to a Black restaurant, Black coffee shop. You go a Black coffee shop, Black restaurant. You could do a Black bar. If you want to catch a show, you could go to Arena Players and catch a show. Mm-hmm. Right? Like do it all Black.
We're in a Black city. We got to look for Black. And a lot of people say, that's way out there. Convenience is our problem.
Yeah.
It is the issue that keeps us in our space. Sometimes you have to go out of your neighborhood, but that's what we have to do for each other. If we want to get forward, we got to make some allowances for that.
Yeah.
And so reparations is a lot of things. And yes, we need the money, and yes, we need the resources. But if our behaviors are not in a reparative state, the reparations are going to be.
That's real. Like you really just raised something to where there's reparations from government, there's reparations from institutions, but then what does reparations look like to us, each other? Like how can we repair each other? What does reparations look like from Black person to Black person?
That's it.
And that's not any money talk. That's all TLC, tender loving kid.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Showing up and contributing to us as a people. We got to employ that movement. It's very important. I work very hard to give my money to Black people.
Yeah.
Very hard. Some go out of my way.
Yeah.
And then when they make a mistake, we can't be so hard on each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we gotta give ourselves some grace. It's harder for us to have businesses. It's harder for us to break through.
It is.
Sometimes we compare ourselves to other communities that don't have the same hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of things is our thought process and how we move. We got to move different, but we have to love each other and go about investing in each other. And that means show up at a Black business and give them a tip.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be just talking to them.
Yeah.
It's not always about money out here.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things we can do.
That's right.
So as we wind this thing down, I love this talk about reparations because it's bigger than money. It's behavior.
Yeah.
It's thoughts.
That's a quote.
It's bigger than money.
It's a behavior.
It's behavior. It's so many things that we can do now. So when we do get that chunk, we're ready for it.
Indeed.
We got to build. We can build institutions now. We're not.
Yeah.
It's not that we can't. We're not building any institution. We can do that. We can build it. We can show up. We can build a farmers market in our community.
Indeed.
It's things that we can do now. Because if we build pre-institutions now, imagine when the chunk come in.
Indeed. That's right. That's right.
We good.
That's right.
Brother John, give us give us that jewel. That John P. Comer jewel.
Hey.
Drop it on us, bruh.
At the end of the day, may your urge to unite be stronger than your fear of betrayal.
Ooh.
Peace to the people. Black power.
Ooh. You said that with your eyes closed and all your chest.
Mm.
Say it again, bruh. Say that again.
At the end of the day, may your urge to unite be stronger than your fear of betrayal.
Whoa, that's powerful. That's powerful, and that's where we should be. These community conversations that we're having is for the love of Black people.
Mm.
It's for us to sustain our lives.
Indeed.
And we need to have real conversations. We love to be entertained, but this is entertainment. We got to have bigger conversations than what we're having.
Indeed.
And I just really appreciate you guys jumping in the chat, not holding back, and supporting what we're doing because we are Black centered. That is what we do all day, every day. And they're trying to mute my voice in a lot of, not my voice, our voices, because it's not about me. So they're actually working very hard at muting this voice. And so I appeal to everyone, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, please, because at some point we might not have a Facebook. I've been threatened with them getting rid of my page because we violate community standards. So please, I'm asking you guys to support us. We're not asking for money. We're asking for your eyeballs, your minds, and your movements.
Hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
Hit that subscribe button. Real talk. Come back next month is Be More Black, where we're going to platform Black people who are doing extraordinary things in Baltimore. So we're going to do like 5 or 6 different, and we're going to go through the things that we need: a food person, a tech person. We're going to talk about homeschooling. We need alternatives to public school education. So I'm gonna throw some things on you guys next month, guys. Look on our story, look on our pages, and check out what we're doing. John, thank you so much for doing this. We need repair.
Thank you, indeed. You know, and it was good to be back on your platform. It's been a while, but
it has been a while.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You say you're coming out to Cherry Hill, right?
Yeah. You're on my calendar. I also want to say shout out to all these great people, Sister Darlene.
Oh, indeed.
Shout out to you, Mama Gail. You know I love you, Sister Asia. Shout out, sis. Shout out to Brother Jason. He dropped some bombs in the chat. We had Juan Juice in here. That's my man. Sister Mona was in here. Mona Diallo. Your brother, you said Spoon. Brother Spoon was in here. So listen, guys. Yeah, Sister Monica Cooper. She said, "What's up?" So I just want to say thank you guys for coming.
Tell Monica what's up.
Yeah, Monica, good girl. So listen, have a good night, everyone. Keep warm. Love your family, and we out.
Peace.
Deuces. Can we get them deuces, Brother John? We are brothers and sisters. Don't go nowhere, John. Good night, everyone.